Hey everyone, I'm going to be doing a quick playthrough of just a relatively simple map. I'm just going to be building a simple network, just bringing a lot of coal to a power station. So we're going to be generating a relatively small map, 512 by 512. That's a medium map. So first thing that we need to do is make some money, and the easiest way to do that is airports. So we find the largest city and build an airport there. Yeah, I'll build it right there. So from here, I'm just finding the othermost populous city and then setting up planes to fly back and forth. Planes just are really OP when it comes to money making, so they're a good way to do it. You just want to find the highest cargo capacity plane and get at least one going from each city and set it back and forth and let them do their magic. Once the planes are set up and you're starting to make money, you need to select a good location to start off. So what we want to do is find a power plant that's making a lot of money. So to do that, we open up the industries tab there and sort by production. Once we've found the good coal mine, we need to find a good power station, which are in red on that map over there. The coal mines are in black. Eventually I decide upon this location right here. It's pretty good. It's got water on both sides and a couple of obstacles, but I think it should do just fine. So one thing that we're going to do really quick before we actually start building it is we're going to sketch out a plan. And that station that I built at the bottom there represents the drop-off station, or the coal station that's going to be there. And that line that I'm highlighting here is going to be running adjacent to the coast, sort of like that, and it's going to connect to other stations, such as coal stations or stuff like that, to provide coal to the power station. So I need to think about how long my trains are going to be. I like 4 tiles. It just seems to be pretty reasonable length, not too difficult. Oh, damn. Let me get to this game. Okay. So we're going to put that there. Go ahead and delete this. So, what I would like to do is just get this station developed and set up on the network so that I never really have to worry about it again. So we're going to figure out where this main line is going to go. Actually, you know what? It doesn't matter too much which side it goes on. Going on this side potentially runs into these cities and into these fields, which will cost money, whereas on this side it's just the fields, but there's potentially less room. However, I think that I'm going to do it on the field side, so I'm going to just make a bit of room from the coast, place that there, and then we're going to have 4 units of spacing between each of our lines here. So, actually 4 is, I don't know. 4 might be a bit much. I'll have 3 units of spacing. 3 might be a bit little, but I don't like the way the 4 looks. Okay, so now we need to build this station itself. And I think what I would like to do is sort of wrap the tracks around here and then make the actual junction like here or something. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, it would have to be like here or on the other side of this forest, or I could just cut them. But either way, basically, bring both of these tracks around to here, because I don't think that I'm going to have enough room to just go straight over. So this should give me a bit more wiggle room. Here I'm just building the station itself. This side's going to be the entrance right here, so setting up the signals and entrance combos and exits, and I'll probably link down below, unless I forget, my guide on how to build stations, or you can just check on my YouTube channel, my guide on how to build stations like this and set up the signals. It's not too difficult. Once those signals are done, we go ahead and start setting up the track to connect this to the junction itself. So I realized here that I made a little bit of a mistake, and if I continue moving that track there, I eventually would have had to cross them over to maintain the rule of driving on the right hand side, which I like to do just to help keep things consistent. I would have had to cross them over before reaching the junction, so I just wrapped it around the other way and renamed the station here to Coal Drop. Okay, cool. So junction time. So in my last video, I covered how to make a junction. I'll probably throw a link to that here, or you can just watch. But so we're going to start off with the right lane making a left turn. It ends up being a pretty simple junction. One thing that happens here is that I noticed that my spacing of 3 tiles wasn't enough, so I switched to 4 tiles, which allows me to have a corner that is 4 tiles long inside, or in between my tracks, which means I can just make a bridge over one track and connect it over, which that's always nice. So like I said, it's a pretty simple junction. You just take each of the lines from the feeder here, which in this case is just the power station, and you make it so that both of those lines can go both ways on the network. So I make a few errors while setting this up and just have to change some things around, but that usually happens whenever you make a junction like this in a bit of an awkward position. But once that's done, the junction is pretty much finished. Alright, cool. So now that the coal drop is connected up to what will eventually become our main network, we can start figuring out what coal stations we want to add on. So I'd like to go ahead and add this one and this one to the network. So to do that, I am going to make some stations here. I like to do roll in, roll out stations as opposed to terminuses for the most part, just because I just don't like terminuses. They just don't really do it for me, you know? So we're going to get those 2 set up here. Just go ahead and throw those down so that we sort of know, where they're going to be. We have 4 tiles of spacing between our main lines, so we can go ahead and draw our main line here. And I'd like to make sure that it passes by this thing. And actually, just to spite the owners of that sawmill, I'm going to put 1 track on each side, just out of spite. And then we're going to go ahead and connect that over. Nice. So now, these need to be connected to the network, but we know exactly where they're going, so they don't need to have connections going in both directions of the track, right? This one right here is always going to be sending coal to this station. So it doesn't need to be able to go this way, right? It doesn't need to be able to go that way. No one gives a shit if it's able to go that way. At least leaving this. It only needs to be going that way if it's coming here, right? And it only needs to be going this way if it's leaving. So its track from its exit should only connect to this track right here, and its track from its entrance should only connect to this track right here. So we don't need to make a full-on junction, which is always nice, because full-on junctions can become, they take a while to build. Now it's just a process of setting up the rest of the track. You got to connect the station to the main line itself, set up the signals properly, which is 1 entrance and 2 exits there. And then figuring out how to get the bridge over. The sawmill ends up being just a little bit of a problem, but it just ends up dictating where our bridge is going to go and where our connection to the main line is. Cool. So that's our first station connected. And we could go ahead and send some trains there right off the bat, but I'm actually going to connect this mine as well, so we can start to get, I'd like to get both of these set up before I get trains going, just because I've got them both ready to be built, and I'd like to take care of one thing before moving on to the next. Similarly to last time, it's just a matter of setting up the signals and getting the track connected to the line itself. And actually now that I look at this, I'm realizing that it is incorrect. Because this line right here needs to be connected to this one. So you just build a bridge over and connect it up to that line. Cool. So that's 2 mines connected to our network here. So next up, we need to actually get trains going for those mines. So there are a bunch of different ways that you can actually build injectors. which are just station or depots that put trains onto the network. And there's some really complex ways that you can implement it, but I like to just do it the simple, basic way of trains go onto the network. So I'm just going to put that there. And then new vehicles. Oh, you know what? We should be using electrified railways. So we're just going to do that. Convert over and do it to everything. How much money do we have? Nice. Good amount. Cool. New vehicles. Cool. So we can handle electric stars. Or electric trains here. So I'm going to go ahead and build Asia Star. And those. And I'm selecting the Asia Star here just because once it gets to the point where I can't use electric vehicles anymore and I need to be using monorails, this has an engine at each end and it's just easier to upgrade. Not necessarily the best way to play, but definitely one of the easier ways. So let me just actually delete that train. And then go to there, get a full load, hold down Control, hit G to trigger the go-to thing, and then hold down Control when you click on something if you wanted to get a full load. And then go there, cold drop it off. And I estimate maybe, let's have 3 trains going just in case. I think it only needs 2, but I'd rather overkill at least a little bit. And then buy another Asia Star. Some coal trucks for this one. If you look closely, you can notice a lot of confusion here. As I open that, exit it, and then open it again. Not really believing my eyes. I ran into a weird bug here. Basically, I couldn't make trains not have shared orders, or at least these ones that I was creating here always had shared orders. So we'll just skip ahead to where I get past this bug. Okay. Let me try this again. New vehicles. Okay, cool. Whew. That's weird. Go to there, Control, full load. We'll go there, and then hold Control while you build 2 more. Put them in the same group. And cool. So now, it's just a matter of waiting until these trains actually move to this station here. But I can't actually fast forward on this computer without causing the recording to stop. Which is a bit of a shame. So I won't really be able to show that. I can fast forward in post-production though, so that's good. And I don't think I'll get a better segue than that to switch to a fast-forwarded part. Basically here, I'm just figuring out what my next steps are going to be, where I'm going to connect things, and I'm just going to bring some mainline track coming up, and that little area that I'm indicating with my mouse, basically coming down a bit, and then is going to be going to the upper left area. Where am I going to? So I'm figuring out now where I'm going to be placing this main line, right? Because you have rivers here that it needs to cross over. It needs to be able to be accessible by both of these coal mines, and it needs to dodge all of these cities. So I'm starting off with one of the more difficult parts here, or sort of, not necessarily one of the more difficult parts, but one of the parts that you can figure out, which is eventually this track, I want it to curve around and come up here. So I'm not entirely sure where it will go in this general area. I'm not entirely sure where it will go in this general area, but I know that right here, I don't want it to be coming up this hill by crossing over this river. So I know for certain that I want this track to come here. And then from there, you can start to figure out where the rest of your track is going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and also, we want to dodge that hill right there, right? So we can infer that we need to build more track there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. First train row is a coal drop. Nice. Good job, train. Good job. A real trooper. Jumping back to construction, we're just going to go ahead and construct the part that we built earlier for this main line up to the rest of the main line at the junction. Nice. So now we need to build the bridges going over this piece of water here. So we could just demolish this water here, and that would be a lot easier and a lot more simple. And we'd be able to avoid all this sort of bullshit with bridges, but why not? Let me go ahead and make bridges not invisible anymore. Oh wait, no. There needs to be another gapping of space here. So the reason that I'm building 2 pairs of bridges here, as opposed to just 1 bridge for each track, is because you can see that for each of these signals, there's 1 tile of spacing in between each of these signals. So you can see signal, tile, signal, tile. Whereas right here, because you can't build signals on bridges, it would be signal, tile, 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 signal. Which means that if you have a whole bunch of trains that are only separated by 1 tile, right when they get here, they'll be forced to be separated by 3 tiles, which is a very big difference. And these bridges right here will become massive choke points, unless you double them up. In which case, you can effectively decrease it to 1.5 tiles in between each train, which is usually enough. And if it turns out that you need more, then you can just add on another bridge and avoid that issue. Then we just finish up the signals here and skip ahead in the video to another part where we're finishing up the subsection of the network. So right here we're just grabbing the connections that we made from the bridge and connecting them up to the part of this network, or the subsection of the network that we built earlier. And then we're going to go ahead and skip ahead to more construction. So this one right here is a good excuse to build a terminus. We just go ahead and build a pretty simple terminus entrance here. I realized later on I run into an issue here with this path-based signal, and those 2 signals there, some trains just get caught up and it doesn't work. I should have instead used an entrance and then 2 exit signals. And there are of course some ways that you can do a terminus that works well using path-based signals, but I'm not too familiar with them. So I was having a bit of issues figuring out where exactly to put the exit here. Can I just go straight out? 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice! Yep, that's what I'm going to do. Then build across a nice 6 long. And another one here, 4 long. Oh yeah, that's an exit if I've ever seen one. That is just... that's an exit. Look at those bridges. So you know the drill. For the rest of this, we just go ahead and connect it up to the main line here. And then we just got to connect this bad boy right here. And this might be another good one to do a terminus on, but 2 terminuses is just too sickening for my blood, so I'm not going to do that. So I ended up having a frankly uncomfortable quantity of trouble actually figuring out how to get the entrance for this station to hook up. And I won't make you suffer watching through all of it, but basically there just wasn't enough room and I had to end up rebuilding where the station was, which I'll go ahead and cut to now. I need to move this station like... I need to move it, I think, 1 or 2 spots here. So we're just going to make it barely on the edge of being able to serve that. Cool. And then we're going to delete this, that, and that, and that. And this is just the way that we got to do it. So it's just connecting it up to the main line here. I was a bit confused about whether or not I would be able to, or rather a bit unsure, connecting over without having to build another bridge, but I just bite the bullet and build the bridge. And then once again another bridge just to cross that side of the main line and get the exit all connected up. So of course, once everything is finished up here, we just go ahead and set up the rest of the trains. Just go ahead and build the trains, tell them to do full loads at those stations that we just built, and then tell them to go ahead and bring their coal to the power station. Okay, so next up we're going to go ahead and connect the coal stations up here, the coal mines up here. There are 4 up here. This one, pretty good. 162. That one right there, 162 as well. Both of them are pretty good. 99, it's alright, and 90, not so good. So I'm going to go ahead and extend the main line up to here, and then split it off in 2 directions so that it can accommodate both of these mines, probably here. Once again, we're going to speed up the construction of a part of the track in this video. This is going to be the Y split here. So we start off with the two paths going towards the coal mines that we're going to be connecting to, and then the path coming from the rest of the line. And then we just go ahead and connect both ways up to each of these paths in the split. So once we're sure that the crossovers are connected and the signals are good, we can go ahead and work on the next station. Cool. So that should be good. And then let's go ahead and build these stations. So one right here. Build that there. Build this one here. We start this off by first building the exit for this station, and then building the entrance for it, and the exit can connect directly to the main line here. And we can use that knowledge to sort of figure out where we need to be drawing our main line near these stations. So we start working on the second station before we finish up the first one, because it dictates where the crossover line for the entrance to the first one is going to go. And once we've gotten that crossover line and those signals for the first station worked out, we can start to do the exit for the second station. So once we're done with that, we finish up the entrance and signals for the second station here and do the crossover. And then once we finished up both those stations, we're pretty much done with this section of the Y split. So I skipped ahead a little bit here and just skipped some of the construction of the main line. What we're working on now is just connecting up the final two stations that come off of this Y split to the main line itself. So once we get that first station done, the second station will actually be capping off this section of the main line, so we can actually just go ahead and get rid of the extra track at the end of it. And of course, once we finish up the signals, we're basically done with this half of the Y segment. One more thing we have to do though is actually connect the Y segment to the rest of the track here, and like I just did there, electrify the rest of it. So you can see here we're just connecting the Y segment to the rest of the main line. Those stations though are of course of no use if we don't have any trains running to them. But I hope that you'll trust me in saying that I actually set up all these trains, and I'll trust that you don't actually want to watch through all that and we can skip ahead to a more interesting part. Okay, so I thought about it a bit, and I think I'm just going to continue this line here, down around here, and probably over to this coal mine. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coal mines that I'll connect to this line right here. So I'll snake down just around like that. So after I have a quick look at what my main obstacles are going to be, I figure out that I need to go ahead and cross this river right here with some bridges. So when you're building a large section of track like I am right now to connect up these 5 coal mines to the station, you want to find out where your major problem areas are going to be, like this river right here that I'm crossing with the bridges, and then build your track based around those things. And if you do that, your track will basically just become a series of solutions to problems that you've encountered. So next up, we need to, I think, just go ahead and build the line. I'm going to go ahead and connect this one first. Build all the line going all the way from here over down to this one. So I'm going to go ahead and build the station here and get it all set up and figure out exactly where things are going to go from there. So we go ahead and get this station built and then get the rest of the track set up. I cut out a couple of parts here just because the video is starting to get a bit long, and because you've seen enough of it already where you don't necessarily need to see me connecting segments of the main track together. So just fast forwarding through this a bit. And then once we finish up, next up is just going to be connecting the rest of the stations. Boom, and then that is the rest of this side connected. So that's pretty much the rest of what the main line is going to be doing. What this line is going to be doing. So now I just need to connect. Let's see. Let's go ahead and put stations down at the mines we want to connect. So that one, and we'll put this one on that side just to give us a bit more room to work with. Got one right there. This is going to be a bit awkward, but probably not too bad. And Okay, yeah, we can make that one work. Cool. So that's 5 stations to connect up here. So we're going to start off with this one, just because it's going to be a bit weird to do. Here we choose to make it have the exit going downhill, just because it's better to have the exit going downhill than the entrance going uphill, because downhill exit doesn't slow anything down, whereas a uphill entrance potentially does. And then once we're done with that, we just make the bridge crossings, get the signals right, and then get everything set up. We'll go ahead and skip ahead to the next station that we're going to be building in this video. So this one obviously is built parallel to the tracks here, and as a result of that, it should be pretty easy to build the connections. I did have to mess with those bridges just a little bit, and then up here mess with some corners, once again just a little bit, but for the most part pretty easy connection to make. And then it's just a matter of getting the near line of the main line to connect to the entrance. And since that one's done, we're just going to go ahead and skip to the construction of the next 2 stations. For this first station, we just start off by solving the entrance, connecting it to the far side of the main line. And then connect the exit to the near side of the main line. Then after that, we got to get the other station connected on up, which we start off by solving for the exit of this station, and then we go ahead and solve a pretty easy entrance for that station. Although there was a little bit of confusion with which one would be the right track. So once again, the only thing left to do is to build trains, and once again, I hope that you'll trust me when I say that I did it correctly, and I'll trust you when you say that you don't really want to see it that much. And we'll skip ahead to the actual final product. So here it is, the main coal drop in all of its glory, with all those stations connected up to it. There's a decent number of trains coming through, and you can notice that I edited the connection up near the coast there. That was just because there were a few slowdowns being caused, but it's nothing too big of an issue anymore. So once we're done looking at this, we're going to go on a little tour, just look over the rest of the map and everything that's been made. So now that this is pretty much done, I'd like to go ahead and wrap it up. Just say thank you very much to everyone that watched all the way through. I put a lot of work into this, and I appreciate it very, very much. If you did like this video, I'm planning on putting out a whole lot more, so if you subscribe, that's great for me, because then I feel cool, and also you'll get to know when my next video is out. But in the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.